Hello, I'm Will Sampson. Welcome to the Woodworking Network podcast. Welcome to the Woodworking Network podcast, where we explore the business of woodworking and what it takes to succeed. I'm Will Sampson. This episode is sponsored by the Executive Briefing Conference. Today, my guest is Bill French, the new owner of Woodmode, who revived the company after it suddenly shut down. But before we get to Bill and his amazing story, I want to start off talking about people power. There's a common expression in business that cash is king. It's usually taken to mean that a business can't long survive unless it has plenty of cash flowing in it at the right time to cover operating expenses and such things as loan obligations. That's all true, but I'd argue there is something even more crucial to business success. It's more important than cash, more important than your equipment, and even more important than the owner's innate business acumen. It's the people who make up the business. It's cliché to say that a business can't prosper without the right people, but sadly, way too many businesses seem to take people for granted, not hiring the right ones, not grooming the best ones, and not hesitating to dispose of them when things aren't working out. Of course, there are lots of businesses that seem to carry on this way. They regularly lay off people to match a fluctuating workflow, and they don't seem to worry too much about the rehiring process when times get better. They know there are always enough warm bodies to fill the slots. But are there? Maybe they have structured their business so workers don't need to know anything and just have to follow directions. But even following directions can become a skill that's not easy to come by. And what about worker productivity? We've all encountered the really great employee who can do more and do it more effectively than other employees. What's that employee worth? What's it worth to groom that kind of employee? What's it worth to keep him or her on the payroll even when things get slow? What can that kind of employee do that goes beyond just getting the work done and actually helps to grow the business? I've talked to a few woodworking business owners who really get it. Not only do they see the value of their employees to the business, but also the owners feel a responsibility to those employees. I talked to an owner of a very high-end custom shop in Florida once during the economic downturn. He was working hard to keep all 17 of his employees fully engaged. That's not just 17 people, he said. That's 17 house payments, 17 car payments, 17 families to be fed. In return, those 17 employees were loyal and extremely productive, helping the company to thrive even in tough times. Not to mention, they helped give the company a reputation that earned respect in the community and made it much easier to find great employees. During the course of my spending about an hour in that shop, I think I remember at least 3 people coming in to look for work, all experienced. One of the reasons I constantly recommend lean manufacturing techniques for woodworking businesses is that lean is at its root a people-driven success story. In 1984, when I met Shigeo Shingo, one of the developers of the Toyota production system, which is the basis for much of lean manufacturing today, Mr. Shingo told me that he got most of his ideas for production improvements from the people working on the factory production lines. He recognized that they know lots of ways to improve their work if only someone would listen. Workers can add value to a product and a company beyond following directions. In fact, one lean enthusiast, Paul Akers, in his great book, 2-Second Lean, makes an important change to the key lean instructions about waste. While the Toyota production system identifies 7 kinds of muda, the Japanese word for waste, Akers adds an 8th kind of waste, that of wasting the brain power of your employees. You can't get the full value of your people if you treat them just like cannon fodder, to be used and discarded at a moment's notice, and then just as easily replaced. Good people power great companies. There have been a lot of business closures in the woodworking industry since the Great Recession in 2008. Every time another company closed and people lost their jobs, we got numb to the numbers. Recently, it came as a huge shock when Woodmode, a leading family owned kitchen cabinet manufacturer, unceremoniously shut its doors and put nearly 1,000 employees on the street. That could have been just another numbers story to add to the list. But something different happened with Woodmode. Someone saw the value of those people and the business opportunity they represented. Bill French lived just a couple of miles from the Woodmode factory in Pennsylvania. He had been operating a successful modular home construction business. Some say he should have been thinking more about retirement than trying to resuscitate a failed cabinet factory. But he saw value and opportunity. He bought the business and started hiring those employees back. He also saw the important people value in the company's dealers, who also got left holding the bag when Woodmode closed its doors. He started working hard to rebuild their trust and support. I was anxious to meet Bill French and learn more about what he was doing to revive Woodmode. I met with him and some of his people at the Kitchen and Bath Industry Show in Las Vegas, and he agreed to sit down for a podcast interview. But before we get to that, let's pause for a word from our sponsor, the Executive Briefing Conference. EBC is a superior opportunity to learn, be inspired, and have face-to-face interchanges with top leaders in the industry. The 2020 EBC will be held at the spectacular Broadmoor in Colorado Springs. In addition to top speakers and presentations, there will also be tours of Concepts in Millwork and the Mill Woodworking Training Facility. It's an unparalleled opportunity to obtain business intelligence to improve your enterprise. You can learn more at executivebriefingconference.com. The news of Woodmode's sudden closure sent shockwaves across the woodworking industry, and then came the stunning news that someone had bought the company and intended to rescue it. That man is Bill French, who I'm honored to have as my guest today. Welcome, Bill.
Thank you, Will. I'm glad to be here.
We talked briefly face-to-face at the KBIS show a few weeks ago, but I wanted to share some of what we discussed with listeners of the Woodworking Network podcast and to go into some more detail. Let's start with the really obvious question. Why did you buy Woodmode?
Well, I had the opportunity to buy the assets of a great company at a liquidation price. Since I live close to Woodmode plant, I knew many of the employees who were laid off, and they are talented, hardworking people.
That's great. Well, can you tell us a little bit more about your background and the qualifications you bring to this new adventure?
Okay. I started and continue to own another successful company in this area, Professional Building Systems. PBS makes modular homes. PBS gave me the opportunity to have experience in having a successful manufacturing company in the building products industry.
And do you think that a lot of that experience is going to be applicable to the Woodmode operation?
Yes, I think some of it is applicable. We're working with wood, we're working with manufacturing, we're working with people in this area, and being successful and being efficient carries over to some degree to Woodmode.
That's great. Why do you think that Woodmode failed? What makes you think you can succeed where they obviously ran into trouble?
Well, there are many reasons why the old Woodmode failed. The most important reason is that they had a lot of debt at a high interest rate. The new Woodmode has no debt. We pay all our bills and take the early payment discounts. We currently are at break even and expect to reach profitability this year. Wow, that's an amazing turnaround. I know you're hiring back some of the Woodmode employees. What's the current status of that effort? Well, a month ago, just before KBIS, Woodmode had 290 employees. Now, about a month later, we have 318 employees and are continuing to hire more people. The orders are increasing and will continue to hire employees to keep up with demand. And there are still many highly qualified people in this area available to hire.
That brings me to another question related to that. We recently reported that another new cabinet operation, William Penn Cabinetry, operating out of the former Colonial Furniture plant in Freeburg, Pennsylvania, is also going after former Woodmode employees. How will that affect your plans?
Well, buying the assets of Woodmode was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The dealers and the employees are extraordinary. Woodmode is an excellent, stable place to work. There are many other manufacturers in the area, including other cabinet manufacturers, and one more employer will not have very much effect.
Okay, that's great. I'm glad to hear that so many qualified employees are available in that area.
There are a lot of craftsmen available, people who know how to build cabinets and people with other skills in this area, and it's the right thing to give them an opportunity to go back to work.
That's great. Of course, not only were nearly 1,000 employees shocked by the sudden Woodmode closure, but countless Woodmode dealers across the country were left holding the bag. What are you doing to get them back on the team?
Mostly, we're producing a high-quality product and delivering it on time. We're listening to our dealers and giving them what they want. I personally have met over 200 dealers, and they understand that Woodmode is a great company. Orders are increasing as more dealers realize that Woodmode quality is better than ever.
That's excellent. When we first talked a few weeks ago, you said you already had production up and running at the plant. What's the current status of your production level, and what's your timetable for ramping it up?
We're producing approximately 175 cabinets a day. That's a 10-hour day, which we work 4 days a week. So that's a total of 40 hours. The employees seem to love that. And they're being efficient. They're working together well, producing a good product, and we will ramp up as the orders come in.
Do you anticipate any major production changes, such as adding automation or new manufacturing techniques?
Well, Woodmode is highly customized, so automation will be limited. We are working on improving our ordering system to make it simpler for dealers to work with. Also, we will attend the IWF this August in Atlanta, looking for appropriate ways to improve efficiencies. Currently, we're in the midst of replacing the lights in the plant, which will save about $250,000 annually in electricity costs.
Wow, that's quite a bit all by itself.
It is.
Obviously, you must believe in the viability of American manufacturing, or you wouldn't have taken on this venture. What do you say to all the people who insist that manufacturing is going away in the United States and we can't compete with offshore manufacturers?
Well, I'm going to speak just for Woodmode and this area. We have a lot of excellent people, hardworking people with a lot of talents, and I think if we put them together in a reasonable environment, that they will be successful.
Along those lines, what makes the new Woodmode under your leadership competitive with other companies? I'm sure there's other companies that also have good employees and a storied history like Woodmode.
Well, we're one of many companies who produce kitchen cabinets. We make sure that everything that we ship is excellent quality, and we ship it on time. We have particularly a good finish. That's one of the areas that we seem to outshine other cabinet companies in.
Why do you think so many North American wood products manufacturers seem to struggle and consider shutting their doors like Woodmode did?
Well, I think if you stick to the basics, if you have good employees and good dealers and good communication and use common sense, then you'll be successful. We will change with opportunities and challenges as we go forward in time, and we will be one of the winners.
That sounds great. I wish you a lot of luck in that endeavor. What's your advice to other companies to not only stay viable, but to actually prosper in today's economic environment? Do we need a new American manufacturing model? Or have we forgotten what we should have known before?
I think you want to be fair and honest with your employees and all the people that you deal with in the community and in the dealer community. If you use reasonable ethics and common sense, you'll succeed.
Well, I wish you a lot of luck in this endeavor, Bill, and we will be watching closely and following up with Woodmode's progress as you continue forward. So good luck.
I appreciate that. So far, luck has been with us, and I appreciate your interest in Woodmode.
You can find all of our podcasts at woodworkingnetwork.com and in popular podcast channels. Thanks again to today's sponsor, the Executive Briefing Conference. If you have a comment or topic you'd like us to explore, contact me at will.sampson@woodworkingnetwork.com. Thanks for listening.